So one thing I got in my life is a whole bunch of trailers. A whole bunch of them. But the only thing I have to move them around with right now that currently is operable is that thing. And then after that thing, I got that thing. But I kind of wanted to be able to maneuver them around a little bit easier with the tractor. So I went online and I was going to buy one of the 3-point hitch attachments. But kind of wanted the thing for this weekend. So the problem with the 3-point hitch attachments I could get this weekend is the fact that none of them could get delivered in time. So because I'm in a rush and I kind of want to get it done, I am going to go ahead and build my own. And where did I lay my junk down? Oh yeah. So I got this guy for $14, and you can guess where. This guy for like another $3, and then all that crap. Okay, and I've got all that crap stacked in the corner, so I figured, well, let's see if we can build our own. Alright, I'll use this as my base to get all my this to there dimension and that there dimension, and we'll see what we can slap together. Alright, I'll show you when I get it laid out. So when you're designing and engineering, you want to keep stuff in some control. Got this pipe. It's about a 3/16 wall, not quite a quarter wall. It's roughly 2-inch diameter, and I'm going to use that as the base tube for my structure, for the cross tube that goes between the two. I'm going to take this, and I got a hole saw here that I found in my kit that's about the right size, and I'm going to hole saw through it and then cut this down to length. Right now it's 26 inches. I think I want it to be about 24 inches. And then once I got that, I'll slide this on, center it up, tack it, zip it, tack it, zip it. And in that way, the pipe is not compromised in any way, and it should make it a lot stronger when it comes to pulling. I debated about extra gussets and stuff, but I also came to realize that, I mean, if you crawl underneath your truck, it's probably not this heavy of a pipe to begin with. And we're not going to be going anywhere near as fast. And most of the stuff I'm going to move around is going to be very empty. I don't know if I would, but we might gusset it a little bit. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what we end up with. I am going to have to put something out the top. I'll probably cut another piece. I haven't quite figured out that part yet. I don't have any more of this. But there'll be another piece coming up at the top for the 3rd point of the 3-point hitch. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But for right now, let's work on getting the base structure. I'll work on sawzalling that, chopping this guy down, getting some stuff ground off, zip it, weld it, get it going. Alright? Alright, let's figure some more stuff out. So, one thing I realized is the further back you put your, my tube, the more leverage I'm putting on this point and on this point. So if I put my tube the whole way back, because it's going to go the whole way through, it gives the trailer a lot more chance to like try to bend and twist this. However, if I put it too far forward because it goes the whole way through, I won't be able to slide a hitch in. So I eyeballed this guy up, right like that. Gave myself roughly another inch because, you know, there's going to be differences. I don't want it right up. And then I gave myself roughly another inch after that. And I'm going to lop this off right here. So that way I'm not, like, I don't have all this extra on the back that could possibly, well, I guess, you know what, I'm not going to lop it off because looking at the tractor now that I see it, Alright, we're not going to do that. So, I wanted to figure out where I was going to put this in relation to everything. So what I did was I lined this guy up, and you want this tube as close to here as possible, so that way you have the least amount of leverage working against you and trying to twist that thing around, adding extra stress. So I think right about here is where it's going to go. I'll center this up some and I'll mark it, find center, punch it, whatever, hit it, drill it from this side, drill it from the other side. I'm not too worried about this because I got a lot of room between my 3-point hitch and the tongue on the back of my tractor, but if your 3-point hitch is shorter, you might want to think about shortening this up too. Make sure it's in the camera. Yeah, make sure you shorten this up too, but I'm not going to worry about it because I shouldn't have an issue, and plus, you know, once I put it all together, if it does interfere, I'll just lop it off in. Alright, figure this out, put a hole. So, I measured and then adjusted my measurement because it was like 5 5/8 or something. No, it was like 5 11/16 I think is what I came up for the center mark for this here. And because I like dealing with whole numbers, I just made it 6 inches. So we're 6 inches back from here. I got it center punched, got all the stuff ground away, and I'm not going to bore you sitting there watching me drill because I already drilled. I drilled a pilot hole. Then I get out my hole saw, and then I end up with that, which that is just a hair bigger than the tube I plan on using. So, with all that said, I think we're pretty well on our way, and we'll just have to keep on trucking. I'm not going to bore you with all my sitting here drilling, hole saw. Just trust me, hole saw. You could blow this out with a plasma torch or whatever, but I chose not to just because I don't know, I didn't want to get make that much of a mess, you know what I mean, and fire up my big old air compressor. Alright, here we go. So whenever you see it this way, you kind of get an idea that it doesn't have to be ridiculous. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking of all these gussets and angles and brackets and stuff I can make. But you got a pretty stout piece of pipe into that thing the whole way through. It's solid. It's not going to bend here. You have less than a foot sticking out of each side. It's like 10 inches on each side. Because the whole pipe's only 25 inches long, and if this is 3 inches, alright, well, it's like 11 inches out of each side. And then one coming off the top to stabilize it, keep it from, because right now, if I welded that up, welded tabs on the end, and then stuck it in the tractor, as soon as I hook it to a trailer, it's just going to rotate down. So you need one stabilizer for the 3rd point, but I think that's pretty good. Yeah. And I haven't decided. My original idea for hole sawing these was to get basically plugs, and then that way I could, you know, thread these just straight in, or even just weld the nuts. I know I got to take this stuff off, but what I'm thinking of is I might actually just make a tab and mount it up, because if I ever broke one of these, and I personally have not, my dad has, if I ever broke one of these, I could change it very easily and not have to worry about gacking up threads or anything like that. You know what I mean? Of course, it'd be just as easy to change there. I don't know. I'm going to think on that for a minute. Give me a hot minute to think on that one. One thing I didn't definitely is for sure though is this is not anywhere near square. I'm gonna have to square that sucker up and trim a little edge off, and then go back, find my center, measure 1.25 inches from center, put a mark, 1.25 inches, put a mark, and that way I can line it up and then figure out how I'm gonna kind of float this in space, tack it, flip it, zip it, finish putting it together. Alright, let's get her done. So I know I said I should have stripped the coating off, and yeah, I should have stripped the coating off, but I didn't have any acid, and I just kind of want to get this done. So beat me up in the comments about risking my health, but I got her done. I didn't have any fumes. I had a mask on the whole time I was doing it. But yeah, so you only really gotta put a couple tacks to hold a nut, because the nut threading end is going to hold it itself. But then once you're done with it, these are the plates. I went back to my original idea, because then I can take and just basically do that. And you know, I'm going to have to straighten that up a little bit, but we can zip that on and I can put them in. Alrighty, more zip welding. More welding. Sorry, I kind of knocked you out of the way for some of that. There, we got that side welded on there. I ground the welds down a little bit. I had some porosity on that side and had to grind it out, and then the weld didn't look right, so I kind of smoothed it over, and I kind of did the same thing here. I know it kind of weakens the weld a little bit, but some of it's just making it look good. I know, rag on my welding. Go ahead. But what I'm going to try to do now is figure out how I'm going to shim that up so that I can fit this pipe through and center it up and zip her in. Alright. Alright. I got this at a 90. 10 and 15 sixteenths on that side, 10 and 15 sixteenths on this side. Centered in the hole about as good as it's ever going to get. I think it's time to burn it in. Wow, I'll tack it, flip it up so it's easier to weld, and then burn it in. Alright, battery died. Sorry about that. Can't go back and fix it. Something happened. But they're not perfect. But they're pretty good. But I bet you that sucker's really strong. I have no doubts that's ridiculously strong. But now we got to make a tube to come up. I'll measure up about how far up I want that tube to come. And then we'll have to figure out a way to attach it to the third point. Alright, bye. Alright, it's getting a little late. But I decided to go with a piece of pipe. I slid it all the way forward so that way it puts a little more leverage. Like I said, I'm all about leverage. I got it mostly centered over the pinhole. But what I'm going to do, because I know this is round, and it's kind of hard round to make it attached to this guy, which took out of there, is I'm going to take a couple pieces of plate, drill some holes in it, and then bring it back off so that this is back in the center line. And my battery's dying. Alright, I'll see you in a minute. Alright, I had a dead battery, now we're back. I got a lot done. I drilled a 3/4 inch hole in these plates. Set this up at 90 degrees, that's at 90 degrees. So we should be pretty good. I'm going to lay a big fat bead right in here. I got this clamp to hold, to keep this from spreading. This clamp, of course, is clamping that to there. And right now I got it just so I can, I could pull that out, but I don't want to. And I got my top link bar and a spacer in there so I can have a little bit of extra wiggle room in case this thing pinches up some. Hopefully it shouldn't, but we're going to go ahead and burn it in. Oops. Well, I gotta say that went pretty well. So I can still move my pin. I got a lot of porosity on the first pass, so I ground it back out right in a second pass. This side didn't look too bad. It's had a lot of random unexplained porosity. Don't know what that's all about. But I mean, got a little bit right there, but I think it'll be alright for who it's for. I'm gonna let that sit and cool down. I'm gonna order up some pizza because it was my night to cook, and that's what my kids want. And might be too dark to try it out tonight, but whatever. Woohoo! I'm really tickled with that. I'm really tickled with the overall design too. Well, I gotta keep thinking about it. We're moving. My heaviest trailer is about a 10,000 pound trailer, so that's 1,000 pounds on the tongue if it's loaded right. I think that'll hold 1,000 pounds. Most of it's on this bar, which, like I said, I left solid the whole way through. I'm not sure if you can see it down. Well, let me get the light. I said, by leaving that bar solid, I think it really strengthens it up. That's kind of why I like the idea of building it, not buying it. That, and I couldn't get it in time. Alright. Let that cool down. Paint. Alright. Got a coat of paint on it. Doesn't look too bad. From back here, you can get what I was trying to say about why I put this forward. It was so that my plates could come back. The pin still fits loose. It looks a little spread, but that's just all it is, because the pipe is not quite as wide, but that's why I got the gap. But like I said, this just stabilizes it, keeps it from pitching forward and back. So there shouldn't be an incredible amount of weight on there. And like I said, the most it's ever going to be on this thing is about 1,000 pounds, which I think it's more than capable of. And if I really cared, I would have bead blasted and painted up the hitch, but what are we going to do? Nothing. Alright, let's get this sucker off and try it out. See you in a couple minutes. Well, there it is attached. Woohoo! Top link going back. I'm probably going to drill a hole in the bottom of that pipe. It's either that or cap this one. That way it doesn't just fill up with water. And this is a little concerning. Like I said, based off of my eyeball estimations, we should have been good, but we'll find out if it plays a problem or not. I imagine it will, but it'll only take me a minute. I got a porta band just off the end of that, and we'll be good to go again. All right, I'm gonna test it out, see if it fits, see if that interference is gonna be a problem. Sorry about it being so loud, but it clears. I mean, just barely. Sometimes better lucky than good. Right there is about as close as it gets, and we still got about a quarter, 3/8 of an inch gap. We'll try her out. Like I said, if it does hit, it wouldn't take but a minute to porta band it off anyway. But let's go try it out and move the trailer. Off and latch it. that went really, really well. I'm really pleased with it. If you have the backhoe on, it's not real convenient, but I mean, honestly, it took like 2 seconds to put together. So, on to the next project, which I kind of got a little overzealous. I backed this thing the whole way in without realizing I actually have to pull it back outside because I got to rip the deck off. But that's another video. Alright. Cheers to it. Another successful project. Woohoo!